Well, good afternoon, everybody. It's really an honor and a pleasure to be here. First of all, let me say Happy Veterans Day, and thank you to all the veterans here in the room, as well as everywhere here in our region. Thank you for your service, and it's the service and sacrifice of those that have served that is the reason why we have the freest nation on earth, and we will continue. So thank you to our veterans. But today is a particularly, I would say, amazing day, because I have a distinct honor to recognize someone who I consider a friend and a mentor, and someone who has, the word service doesn't begin to describe what he's done. And we're going to have a few other people here to speak, but I do want to start off first by asking Greg Carlson from Veteran Services to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. If everybody could please stand.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I'm going to have a couple other folks come up and speak first, and then we're going to make our presentation. When we announced that Vince was going to be our nominee for the New York State Senate Veterans Hall of Fame, actually quite a few people were just thrilled. And one of those folks is, and the first person to speak is our State Assemblyman, Andy Goodell.
So, Vince, I wasn't sure I was going to join you today.
Oh, why is that?
Well, as you know, the location was changed. And my staff, which is very efficient, told me the new location. And not only that, they wrote it on a sticker and put it on a certificate for you. And it was the correct location. But if you pull into this parking lot, you would not know that this place is on the second floor. But I wanted to let you know that all the strangers that are outside the VA clinic over on Hazeltine also support you.
Well, that's good. You learn a lot.
So I didn't know Vince until he came back full-time to Chautauqua County. But very quickly he made a mark. First with the Red Cross, and I had the good luck of knowing Vince as a Rotarian, where he served as our president and did a great job. Always came with his own microphone. And when we heard that Greg Edwards was not running for re-election, not surprisingly, Kathy Young and I were on the phone with each other and immediately said, we got to get Vince to run. And the reason we were so enthusiastic about supporting Vince is because we knew that Vince would leave whatever he did better than when he came. And there are people who have come into the Red Cross and have served very well for many years. There's only one that consolidated a number of counties into one operation successfully. And there are a number of county executives who've come and made a difference. But Vince got several municipalities in the north end of the county to work together on a water district, which, to be honest, I didn't think was possible. And there's still one out there that doesn't know quite whether they want to be in or not, but that'll come around. And so wherever Vince was, whether it was in the service or here in Chautauqua County, he was making a positive, long-term difference. And Vince, that's the legacy that you brought from the service, and that's the legacy you created. So I couldn't be more honored to be here recognizing you, even though it took me a couple of trips just to make sure that I got here. Vince, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Andy. Next, I'd like to invite up the president of the Lake Erie, New York Chapter 4 Blue Star Mothers to say a few words, and that's Susan Rowley. you want to maybe stand over here? Is that okay?
Oh, boy. I want to stand by me.
Want me over here? Yeah, would that be all right?
Because I have,
I do what I'm
a few
told.
words to say. I brought a whole lot of words. But anyway, wow, what can I say about Vince Horrigan? What I can tell you is, even though maybe not quite as much as his lovely wife does, but I adore this man. I met Vince and Barb, who I also adore, when he was running for county executive. And as soon as he said he was an Air Force colonel, I was smitten. But when he said he was an Air Force pilot and explained where he had been and that he had served 27 years as a career officer, I had a deep sense of what he had done, and I was in awe. Then when he asked me what my son's job was and stated that he knew exactly what he did and that he worked with airmen in his career field, combat air control, and then I saw that spark in his eye, and that I've seen so many times in my own son's eyes, I adored him. I am very good friends with a man who is not only a World War II veteran, but also one of Vince's neighbors, and he just happens to refer to Vince as Mr. Hooligan. I also wanted to share something about Vince, that he honored me so very deeply by granting me my very first job interview. You see, I worked from home for many years, raising my family, and when I decided that I really wanted to join the workforce again, I did so when I was alerted to a job advertisement for an executive assistant to the county executive. And it sounded like an amazing job, and I knew Vince pretty well, and I liked him, and I thought, yeah, I could work with Vince, so I applied. I was very honored when I received a letter from him with a time to come with an interview for a position. I was pretty nervous because I hadn't worked outside the home in a long time, and I started to wonder what the heck I was even thinking. Then I arrived at his office. He was so kind. He took me into his office. We chatted for a very long time about Blue Star Mothers, my son's service, his service, and we hardly even mentioned the job that I was there to interview for. So when I left, I kind of knew my interview was a courtesy interview, and it was, and I thought, well, at least I can say I interviewed for such a prestigious job as an executive assistant. It wasn't a year later that Kathy Young called me and asked me to come work for her, so thanks, Vince. So let me tell you a few more things about Vince and why I adore him. I'm pretty sure you will adore him too. He has logged over 3,500 hours in frontline fighter aircraft, flying F-4s, F-15s, F-16s. Are you kidding me? Have you seen those things? Have you ever been to an air show? That's at an air show. They can't show you what they truly are capable of doing, but Vince is aware, and I'm sure that he has guided them through many maneuvers that we can't even imagine. Going through the list of what Vince has accomplished, for example, he was a NATO Tactical System and Readiness Evaluator, Security Assistance Program Manager for the Pacific Rim countries, and a Deputy Commander for Combat Air Forces. These are just some things that go deep into an Air Force mother's soul. So he worked also with NATO international assignments and held a command with the Pentagon. He served our country and our county to the extreme. He and Barb also raised children who did the same. They stepped into the role of solid military parents with understanding and support. They even joined the Blue Star Mothers and have helped us, which is another thing that awes me again and warms my heart. Vince has an incredible heart for community service, which he proved during his military career. But then he and Barb decided to return home to our community, where he stepped up again to serve as our county executive. Our county was able to benefit from his great wealth of community service and military training that he combined into bringing people together and showing them how to work together as a community. Vince was a wonderful leader, both during his military career and then again here at home, what just happens to be something that we here in Chautauqua County in the Southern Tier are very, very rich in, and we've been very blessed with our area with wonderful leaders, and I thank you all. Vince started his career learning how to lead through our country's best training, his military training. And his service continued with his ability to train so many others. Which kept our military strong in doing what it needs to do to protect our liberties. His training took him far, and then his sense of service is taking him even farther, bringing him back to Chautauqua County in New York State. All of these wonderful things are what has brought Vince here today to be inducted into the New York State Veterans Hall of Fame, something he is so richly, richly deserving of. This special recognition is earmarked for those New York State residents who raised their right hand and took the oath to protect and defend our nation, those who served their country well and then came back home to serve their community just as well. So good choice, George. In fact, it's a perfect choice. So we are here today to bestow upon Vince the honor and respect he deserves, and I wish to congratulate him on behalf of the Blue Star Mothers of America, and especially on behalf of the members of our chapter, New York 4, on being inaugurated into the New York State Senate Veterans Hall of Fame. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.
I'll leave yours.
Do I have to stay here?
Yes, please. If you don't, if you don't mind, Colonel, it's okay. I just wanted to say that it's not often that you get to call someone a friend and mentor and have the opportunity to honor him in a way that he really deserves to be honored. I first met Vince in 2009 when we had a horrible flood in Silver Creek, a 100-year-plus flood, and this was one of the first people on the scene with the Red Cross, and really took what was a disaster and organized the effort to give people the relief that they needed. And then I got to learn more about Vince, and then shortly after that I became a county legislator, and then we worked together on the county legislature. So the service that you have done from your days in the Air Force to now is just so commendable. And I know that I know all you here today know him pretty well, and Susan, thank you for giving so many of the details of his service. If there's something here I want to say. Ronald Reagan, I'm going to paraphrase this. Ronald Reagan said, "Some people spend a lifetime wondering if they've made a difference in the world." Well, Vince Horgan doesn't have to think about that. He knows the difference that he's made, and I think that that's really, to me, one of the best parts about this is knowing that your service is not just recognized today, but the fact that it has impacted so many people over the decades, from those you served with during the height of the Cold War in the Air Force, to serving not only with myself and so many others in county government, but taking on the thankless task of trying to herd the cats in Chautauqua Lake too. Yeah. By the way, it's another. But it just speaks to the fact that there is no task that you look at and don't say, I can't do something to help make this better. Everything that you've stepped into, as Andy so aptly put, you knew you were going to leave behind a much better situation than you found. And that's the type of leadership that inspires the rest of us. It inspired me and countless other people to be better, to look at situations that seem hopeless and say, we can do something here. Quite frankly, it's the reason why I jumped into the Chautauqua Lake thing also, with your leadership, knowing that...
Sorry about that.
But, it said of the Cold War that there were no battles there, only casualties. And serving during the Cold War and knowing what was going on, that at any moment we could be into a hot war. And then, how many times I'm sure that you can't even speak of that, you were on the brink with so many others, and when these two superpowers clashed for decades. So thank you very much for your service in the military. And thank you for everything that you've done here. And on behalf of myself and every member of the New York State Senate, I want to present you with this plaque that officially inducts you into the New York State Senate Veterans Hall of Fame.
George,
thank you
so much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Very nice. All right.
Please. And now, sir, it's your turn to speak. Oh, did I miss somebody? Oh, I'm sorry, I missed Craig Carlson. I'm so sorry. Oh, my God.
Craig Carlson.
Show, one more time. I should have watched my run of show. So okay.
All right.
My apologies.
All right.
Ladies and gentlemen, Veteran Services. Greg Carlson.
I feel like I interrupted the show here, but that's okay.
No, I screwed up the show is what happened.
All right. Well, since everybody already covered everything, all of my it's the way it goes when people speak before you, they always kind of cover your comments, and it's impossible to capture such a distinguished career in just a few words. But as people have already stated, you served for over 27 years in the Air Force, and you graduated from many prestigious schools: Squadron Officer School, the Armed Forces Staff College, the Squadron Commanders Course, the Air War College, and many more. And all these are very prestigious. But they don't make movies about that, So they don't make movies about those. But what they do make movies about is the most highly skilled aviators flying the most elite aircraft in the world. And that is something that you did, and that is something that's amazing. As a retired Air Force guy myself, I've seen the look of disappointment on people's face. And they say, "Oh, you were in the Air Force? What did you fly?" And I say, "Well, I didn't fly." Actually, most people in the Air Force don't fly planes, and you can see them kind of nod their head and say, "Well, that's great. Thank you for your service." But not this guy. This guy got to tell the story. And I knew he was a pilot before he even told me he was a pilot, because the first time I met him, I saw him off in the distance doing it. Telling some story like this, which is like the Air Force sign of, I used to be a fighter pilot. But in all seriousness, I mean, when you join the Air Force and you're a brand new Airman Basic and you're looking around and you're looking at what you want to do someday and what you aspire to, that's what you aspire to do. And not only were you a pilot, but you were the top 1% of the top 1%. So you didn't just fly, not that there's anything wrong with flying heavy aircraft, but he flew the premier fighter aircraft of his era, the F-4 Phantom, the F-16 Viper, the F-15 Eagle. But wait, there's more. So what do you do with the best fighter pilots, right? Has anybody ever seen the Navy movie? I got to digress a little bit. Top Gun, right? Of course, yes. So they take the best of the best and they make them pilots. Then the best of those guys, they say, "We're going to make you fighter pilots." And then the best of the fighter pilots, they send them to Top Gun. Well, the Air Force has something very similar to Top Gun. We call them patch wearers, the Air Force Fighter Weapons School. And they said, well, since he's the best of the best of the best of the best, we're going to send him to the Fighter Weapons School. So he wasn't just a pilot and a fighter pilot. He was a U.S. Air Force Fighter Weapons School graduate, patch wearer. We make all kinds of jokes about those guys, but really we just want to be like them. So that's the way it is. But then, wait, there's more. There is more. So you have all of these things that you do in the Air Force. You fly planes, you're an officer. You are a fighter pilot. You're a weapons school graduate. You're a tactical expert. How can we take that one step higher? Well, we're going to take the best of all these guys, and we're going to make one the leader. And we're going to make him a commander. And we're going to make him a squadron commander. And we're going to put him in charge of hundreds. And then we're going to put him in charge of thousands. So he wasn't just the best of the best of the best. He was in command of the best of the best of the best. So, Hall of Fame? I think so. Absolutely. Absolutely.
You're killing me.
Hall of Fame. But wait, there's more.
Oh, there's more.
But there's more. So, after all of this, most people would say after 27 years, I am going to step down, step aside. Nope. He moved back. Wasn't this when you were a young kid, you used to come to Bemis and see the lake life? And he said, I'm gonna retire from 27 years of service, and I'm going to live a quiet life in politics and stay out of the public eye as much as possible. So I never actually had the opportunity while I was in the Air Force, unfortunately, to serve under him. But I served under lots of folks. So the first thing I noticed right away, and the first time I met him, I remember I was working for the Resource Center, and he had a presence about him. I didn't know who he was. I didn't know he was a county executive, but I just saw him work in the room, and I said, that guy's a somebody. I don't know who he is. Someone said, oh, that's a county executive. Hey, you're Air Force. He's Air Force too. I said, really? And then kind of fast forward a little bit, I got to see how he was, and I realized he wasn't just your run-of-the-mill Air Force colonel. He was an airman's airman. He was a mission-oriented guy in this way. His people came first. And you could see that as a county executive. His people came first. He cared about the people because he knew the people did the mission. And you could see that about him right away. And then this opportunity came up, to be the Director of Veterans Services for Chautauqua County, and I applied. And that's when I knew he was a genius. I knew he had a keen eye for talent. I knew he was a superior decision maker when he hired me. And I thought, man, this guy, he's on top of his game and he knows what he's doing. But most importantly, everybody in this room got to know you and serve with you or under you in some way. And on behalf of Chautauqua County, on behalf of all the 10,000 Chautauqua County veterans, and of course, our county executive, PJ Wendell, congratulations on this well-deserved honor. And I have a little memento here that I'm going to present from PJ, since he couldn't be here. And it reads, Chautauqua County Certificate of Recognition presented to Vincent W. Horgan in recognition of his induction to the New York State Senate Veterans Hall of Fame for his dedication to our country as a retired colonel with the United States Air Force. It's through his 27 years of service, which includes serving as an F-4 fighter weapons school instructor and senior officer with command, Pentagon and NATO international assignments, the American citizens and Chautauqua County residents will forever be grateful for his service to our country. Signed, Paul M. Wendell, Jr., November 11th, 2021.
Very nice. Thank you. All right, we'll get the photo op here. That's always critical here. A little handshake while we're doing that.
Okay.
All right. So where we're at. Okay.
All
Thank
right.
you very much.
I'll skip your Air War College paper.
Oh, okay.
And that's why I intentionally left the best for last right there. That was a much better close. Yeah, thank you very much. It's leadership. Is what it is. Well, before we close here, I just want to say, I think, and we talked about this before, that I don't think anyone who serves can do so without the support of their family.
Yeah.
So, Vince, on behalf of Barb, thank you so much for all that you have done. And Vince, if you wouldn't mind, on behalf of us, giving these flowers to your wife.
There you go, honey.
Thank you.
That'll take care of your birthday, too.
Probably anniversary.
All right. Colonel? No,
Well,
sir.
it is quite an honor. Thanks for all the incredible words. See, honey, I'm somebody. I've been very fortunate in my life, and this lady right here is the key to that. I was telling somebody earlier, I did get drafted out of college. They had a draft at the time. I had a number 123, which meant in the lottery I was going. So I walked down and looked at the Army. Don't know. Navy, they're way too long at sea. The Marines, that's tough. Air Force, and I had just gotten my pilot's license, and I knew that's where I wanted to be. And life took us really around the world and gave us tremendous opportunities. Served with incredible people, and when you get an award like this, you think about all those people we served with. Incredible leaders, people that unfortunately are not with us anymore and looking down. Veterans from all service ranks, and I especially now remember Sergeant William Toy, United States Marine Corps, who passed away. Our son-in-law passed away this past July. And I think of the service that and the sacrifice that our veterans make across the world and suffer, whether it is missing limbs, giving their entire life, the recent deaths in Afghanistan, or the ravages of PTSD, which did affect our son-in-law. And these are important things for us to stop and reflect, I think, on Veterans Day and every day, that there are those who suffer because of one thing. They love this country, they serve with their friends, and they believe in freedom and the ideals that our founding fathers built this country on. So I'm especially honored. I thank you, Senator Barillo, for this honor and inspiring me to lose 40 pounds so I could get in my uniform. I wanted to do this here because when our son-in-law passed away and our daughter was left with many challenges, one of the first places I went was to the Veteran Services Agency. That was down in Tallahassee. I called Greg. I got some advice. And thanks to a wonderful veteran service officer down there in Marine Corps, our daughter received the benefits that she and her two daughters richly deserve, and it's because of the work that veteran service agencies do. Very important. You don't think you need it until all of a sudden you need it. So I thank you, Greg, for hosting this for sure. Andy, you and I have had a lot of fun together and have a lot of more interesting stories. I especially acknowledge our friends that are here, the Edborgs and the Meckleys. They're special friends, and they listened to a lot of my war stories. That's the way it goes. I wrote a little op-ed that didn't make it in yet, no pressure, but Lisa representing the legislature, we just have some good government here in the county. It's exciting. They work together, they compromise, they do all the things that get things done, and yet when you look to Washington, you just shake your head. Maybe a little bit at Albany too, you shake your head, because it's everybody's just coming for their side of the story, you know. It's Susan, Blue Star Mothers, right? The spouses serve with the veterans. I mean, they serve. And whether you say goodbye, wondering what would be next, and my wife has had to go on some of those funeral situations with me in the service. They're very, very tough. But we know that spouses really are critical to the mission of the United States Armed Forces, and for those that are presented with an American flag on behalf of a grateful nation, the Gold Star Mothers, it makes you stop and reflect and thank God for this great country we live in. So with that, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for those that attend. Those cookies are very important that you consume them. And thank you, sweetie, for all that you've done for me. Thank you. Okay. That's it.
Yes, please enjoy some refreshments, and then we're going to get a couple of pictures with
Yeah,
all of us.
okay.
Andy, Greg.
Yeah, I'm gonna bring up the certificate.
Oh, okay. All right.
It has the address where I was supposed to go on that.
Right. Bring it up.
Thank you for those.
Oh, no problem. It was much smoother. I wasn't happy when other people go first.